this scar, and people, I've noticed this.
Yeah.
Explain the story how that happened.
I was 2 years old in the hood, and my mother, we was in the little toe up spot, and I put an extension cord in my mouth, and it exploded. This is actually repaired.
Right.
I had a huge keloid on my lip when I was a kid, and all the pictures of me as a kid, and I had it taken out when I was in high school and repaired a little bit, but it's almost, it's my reminder of I should have died. You know, I was shocked, but not electrocuted. Thank God. But at 2 years old, that could have been horrible.
Obviously, growing up with that, you know, when you grow up like we grow up, kids are going to make light of anything.
Yeah.
If you the slightest in any shape, form, or manner, it's going to become a joke.
Oh, yeah. I was called electric lip. They was like, electric lip, ooh, electric lip. They had a whole little thing.
So how was it? How was your upbringing? Were you bullied a lot? Because I read where you like the way you talk is not typical for Flint.
Yeah.
And so they like, you trying to be white.
Yeah. I mean, you got to understand, I'm an artist, and I'm walking through cats from the gang members, the drug dealers. It's the 80s.
Right.
Okay? 80s Flint, Michigan, which is crazy right now because the factories are dying and people went straight into the drug game. So it was about, you know, you had to look cool, you had to have your troop suit, you had to have you had the Jordans on, woo. And so I had a portfolio, and I'm like, and anytime you talked about wanting, because again, I've talked a lot, and they were like, you want to be white. You want to be, if I talk riches, talk about, I want to be rich, and I want to, yeah, you want to be white. And that was kind of hard because, you know, I had to hide a lot of my talent. You know, I had to be, man, I don't know what y'all talking about, man. That's where Friday After Next came from. I was just jumped into one of them, and that attitude and that whole thing. People were like, man, he ain't even like that. People who knew me.
Right.
But nobody who knew me, they was like, oh man, I was scared of Damon for years. But the thing is that I had to, what they call it? Signal. What is it? I forget. It's like you switch code, the code switch. I had the code switch in order to make it. You know what I mean? Because I was just very sheltered, mom religious, father hates sports, the whole thing, and they just make it home.
Right.
But then you going through the hood on the way home. And Flint was going through everything. So it got really crazy.
How supportive was your family when you were growing up? Did they know you wanted to be in the entertainment? Because Flint is a very blue collar, hard working. Normally you go to the factories and that's what you do. You graduate high school, you go to the factories or you go to the military and that's it. So how supportive was your mom and dad, your family members with you like, man, I'm going to be an entertainer. I'm going to be in Hollywood. I'm going to do this. Did they look at you like, man, you out your mind?
Yes. First of all, you got to understand, I feel like I got to go to the biblical story of Joseph.
Okay.
You know, when he told his brothers, yeah, you look, hey, one day y'all all going to bow down to me. And they was like, oh, really? And they sold it.
Right.
I used to tell people what my dreams were all the time. I was like, I want to be on TV. I want to do movies. I want to make movies. I want to draw. I want to do this. And they were looking at me like I was from another planet. They're like, hey, man, you in Flint.
Right.
What are you talking about? You are so far removed from all that stuff. And it kind of got me in trouble a lot. My mother got me in trouble, you know, back then and now. But I also realized it was one of the things where, you know, I had big, big dreams. And what was a big, big thing for me is my dad, you know, my father was an alcoholic, but also he was one of those guys that came up from Georgia, a little small town, Edison, Georgia, worked his way up, got a factory, and created a life for us. But at the same time, he was a little jealous. I mean, he looked at y'all didn't work as hard as I did. Y'all didn't do the things that I did to get where I'm from. Right. Y'all really experienced life. It was one of them things. Okay. And so he was always he never liked sports. My father hated sports. Okay. He would always want me to go to the Army. My mother was super religious, which at the time, you know, going to church, I wasn't allowed to go to movies. I wasn't allowed to play sports. I wasn't allowed to dance. I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music. Everything I do today, I was not allowed to do when I was a young man. And so I didn't get to play sports till later, like ninth grade, 10th grade, when they kind of, when I cajoled them and they kind of got, my mom got out of the religious stuff a little bit, but it was really, really strict, man. And when I would start talking about that stuff, they were like, we can't even go to the movies. But you're talking about being in entertainment.
Right.
It was hard, man. It was real. I felt like a black sheep. I felt like a guy that was always kind of eyes in the clouds. I'm left-handed. Everybody else was right-handed. I'm drawing. Everybody's like outside playing. They're like, well, hey, man, what is going on?
Do you think because normally the way kids are with parents, the more parents don't want a kid to do something, the more you drive that kid towards that.
Yeah.
And because they didn't want you to play sports and they didn't want you to, they couldn't see your vision of being an artist and being in Hollywood. Yeah. Did that drive the passion to make you want to get to it even more?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's kind of wild because I even have problems, you know, with there's family members and different things. A lot of guys counted me out even back then. And now they're like, oh, okay, you did your thing and whatever. But it's one of them things where you never forget that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I always felt like I had something to prove. Mm-hmm. And that was a part of the reason I got into football. Mm-hmm. But then also, once I got in entertainment, I knew there was no way back. Like, you gotta understand, when I moved out I retired from the NFL and moved to LA with my wife, we didn't know anybody. We had to start from scratch. And I had my little severance package from the NFL. Wasn't a lot of money. I didn't make a lot of money. Then. Very little.
It's still very little right now. So don't feel bad. It's not like it's not like it's millions right now. Trust me.
Oh, damn it. I thought these cats getting paid now. No, I guess not. But you know, I was a journeyman. Right. So I had to start from scratch, man. My first job in LA was sweeping floors. Mm-hmm. And there was a point where I thought, you know, and then everybody had counted me out by then. I mean, even there was family members that were like, he had a chance, he blew it.
Right.
You know, that was the consensus. And it was like, well, yeah, I told you this NFL thing.
Did you have people to say, you know what, man, bro, you in the NFL and you gave that up to come do this?
Yep. First of all, they were looking at like, why you keep getting cut? That was the other thing. Yeah. And it was like, obviously it's not working out. And it was just, you know, it's one of the things where you got a lot of people, family, friends, or so-called friends, waiting for you to fail.
Right.
And that's a big drive.
Yeah.
For me, it was like, I love when you count me out. You know, it's like one of them things where I got to show everyone. My wife, my wife has always been by my side. And there was one time even when she came to me and she was like, Terry, look, she said, we hurting. She said, we ain't got no money. We starving. We got these 2 kids at the time. She was pregnant with my third. And we have 5 total.
Yeah.
And so she was like, what are we going to do if we struggling like this and it's not working? Then when are we going to go back? Are we going to go back? I said, we are never leaving. I don't care if it happens when we're 99 years old, we are never leaving LA. I promise you this. I said, if we just continue to do this, because this is where I had kind of learned the mistakes I had made in football.
Okay.
And I didn't have another chance on football. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, man, if I had just studied a little bit more, if I had worked a little bit harder, if I'd have really, really done what I should have been doing. Because that's the thing. You tell yourself you've been doing what you should be doing.
But deep down,
but then you eat the cake.
Yeah.
And you hang out.
Right.
And you do that and you stay up too late. And you don't go to bed. And you totally mess your stuff up. You show up late for the job interview and then be like, they didn't want me. They hated me. It's like, no, you showed up late, bro. And I totally had to be honest with myself, man. Start marking off things that I wasn't doing. And I said, okay, what I'm going to have to do, and this is the way I framed everything, even when I was here in LA. I said, imagine, what if I'm sweeping this floor, man. Now, you understand, I'm almost in tears while I'm sweeping this floor because I'm going, dude, my life may never ever get back to where I saw. Because once you're in the NFL, you at least see it. You see the money. You see the stuff. You're like, man, I'm there. I can touch it.
You see
and then the
nice cars and the jewelry.
Oh, you see the cars pulling out the lot. You see the jewelry. You see the people living the life and the press. And then all of a sudden, but it's gone. And it's gone.
Right.
And I said, man, look, okay. I said, imagine if someone was going to give me $1 million to sweep this floor. How would you sweep it? And these are the little bitty mindsets and I remember I was like, okay. I have to imagine I'm going to get $1 million if I sweep this floor correct. Because I had to play these kind of games with my head in order to get over the depression.
Right.
And I remember sweeping and sweeping and sweeping, and all of a sudden I forgot about my problems. I forgot about it. In fact, I was doing something about my situation. And I decided to do that about every menial job that I ever had. I was filing papers that fell over in the Veterans Administration, all the papers that fell over in the Northridge earthquake. I'm filing papers, I'm doing this. Then I started doing security for movie sets. But it wasn't like, bodyguard. It was literally, I'm standing outside on the parking lot, watching with a flashlight, watching it. But what I said is, what if someone gave me $1 million to watch this parking lot? I got make sure I have my batteries and my flashlight. I iron my clothes. It was a mindset that I said, I'm going to reverse that bad attitude I had in the league that didn't get me where I wanted. I said, now every job I have to treat like that. And what's so crazy is that I started to do everything like that.
Right.
Like every little, it created a habit in me that kept me going. So it didn't really matter what people said. I felt like I was getting this imaginary reward.
Right.
If I just did a great job.
Right.
I literally, if I just pleased God, that's all I had to do.
But you mentioned depression.
Yeah.
Because here you are, you had spent 5-6 years in the NFL, and now you're sweeping a floor in a warehouse or a factory and you're filing papers. So how did that mess with you mentally to know that you had a chance and you saw everything, all your dreams could have been solved, even though it wasn't the path that you really wanted to be on, but a lot of your things could have been solved had you just did that.
Yeah. Well, it was one of them things where my wife literally, because the depression is real. When you quit football, it's almost like the military. You're trying to figure out what am I now? How am I going to continue this? Now, and I have to say this too, and so many ball players never figured it out, Shannon. I mean, I'm 55. I can count almost 30 people that are dead from the NFL that I played with.
Right.
There ain't even 30 people in my class at high school that passed away.
Right.
But in the NFL, gone. I mean, people that I played, Junior Seau, just the other day, Frank Wycheck. It blows my mind, man. I mean, people that I played with, I'm sitting there like, wait, Steve Hendrickson's gone. Kevin Green is gone. I was Kevin Green's backup. He's gone. And it says there's something to this. And it's usually after they retire and they go through this mindset of what am I right now? And you may never find it.
Right.
And I thank God that I have my wife to help me come back to life. Cause she was like, Terry, she said, you are bigger than this. You are more than this. You have to understand that this is, you are past this. Now, again, there were times when I didn't believe her.
Right.
But it was one of the things where I got so depressed, I got out of shape. And I remember my wife came up behind me, and this was a life-changing moment, man. She came up behind me and pinched my back fat. Now, I was always proud of how I looked. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I said, what you doing? It's okay. It's cute. And I said, hey, ain't nothing back there. She said, oh, it's back here. I said, what in the what? And I remember saying, okay, if I could change my life if I just go back to the gym. Like, and this is the thing, man, I hadn't worked out in a year. I was depressed. I was tired. I walked in the gym and I told them, I said, I want to work out here. And I ain't never paid to work out nowhere.
Right.
And they were like, yo, that's $25 a month. I said, $25 a month? I said, but no, I'm going to work out here. And they said, yeah, it's $25 a month. I remember going, okay, I put my money down and I went in the gym and I was so depressed. I went in, sat on a machine, read a magazine, and went home. I said, but I got to come back. I said, make sure I come back 21 days. And I made a promise to myself, just keep coming back. And dude, that turned into 30-something odd years, man. Wow. I'm right here. Like, I never stopped that whole time. But that was it's all, what I have to say is these things are what I call incremental. Mm-hmm. It's not one big giant thing. For me, it was always one little message, one little thing. And you know, when I moved out here, I started trying to get my thing on animation because I was like, I'm an artist, so I could show you my portfolio. And I had my portfolio in at Disney, at DreamWorks, at Hanna-Barbera, all this stuff. But then at the same time, hand-drawn animation went out the window because Toy Story came out.
Right.
So all of a sudden, they was giving me my portfolio back like, that don't work. And then I got a chance to act. And the rest is history. I did not know that was my destiny. I had no idea. I actually was watching Q's car on the set of Next Friday. And I was watching with all these guys walking around this movie set as a security guard. Right. And Q would walk by every day and I'd watch his car. I was like, yes, Mr. Cube, how are you, Mr. Cube? He'd be like, yeah, what's up, man? You know, walk by like, we just watch the car. And then all the way to being in the next movie, Friday After Next. Right. Which gave me my shot, which really blew me up, which, you know, just being close, being it. A lot of times for me, it was just showing up. Right. And being open to it because here it is. I didn't even know this was my destiny. Right. You know what I mean? I never told anybody that I wanted to act. Right. I was trying to be a filmmaker and do all this stuff, but it's unbelievable, man. And when I see that, you know, I got a star on the Walk of Fame, and this stuff is still. I'm the most grateful man in this town, man, 100%.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party because you know we like to do something before two something.